Eric, KJ4YZI. New piece of gear, new video. This is the MFJ-226 Graphical Antenna Impedance Analyzer. This unit particularly comes from www.gigaparts.com. The link is in the description below. And if you're watching this, you may have seen, are familiar, or have the MFJ-269, which is their classic antenna analyzer that a lot of people like. This one is going to prove to be better, and I'm going to show you why. We're going to go into a few features here, show you what it comes with, show you how it looks when you're using it, and some more. So let's get to it. This will be a quick part here, and we're going to hook it right up. So first, you'll get the manual right in here. Now, you may have seen my review on the MFJ-939 Auto Tuner, which didn't have a manual. This one came with a manual, but it is also available on MFJenterprises.com as a downloadable manual, or you can just browse through it on the internet. But I recommend reading this entirely before you get to using it. I've read through this and I've used this, so I put it back in the box for review purposes. But I wanted to get familiar with it, and you should too with the manual. A lot of good things in there. So it doesn't come with much really. We don't need it to come with much. We have the antenna analyzer itself, which feels nice in your hand. It feels solid. It's not as big and bulky as the Rig Expert AA1000 I reviewed. I can use it one-handed like a walkie-talkie fashion. You know, it's not heavy at all, and it's compact. Doesn't confuse me with the buttons here. So that's that. We also get the N to SO239 adapter, which is going to be very important for you if you have PL259s with 50 ohm coax. You're going to need this adapter unless you're one of the people that uses N on everything. You're going to need this adapter. That's why it comes with it. And the PC USB cable, which will plug in on the top here. This is a standard USB-B type. You'll see this this same kind of USB cable on a lot of different things. You're probably familiar with, if I can get this out here, probably familiar with that plug there, right? So this is not used to charge or power the unit when you're plugged into the computer. It is only for PC operation. You can, this unit uses two AA batteries, which I have installed here. You can use alkaline or rechargeable, but if you're using rechargeable, you have to take them out of here and put them in your own charger. This does not have a charging circuit built in, so don't plug it in and think you're charging your batteries. All right? So, a couple good things. We're going to turn it on here. Hold the power button. And a couple things. It is 1 to 230 megahertz. Okay? Anything from 160 meters to 230 megahertz you can check out with this device. Okay? Has 32 memories in it for capturing different antennas. Say at a friend's house or field day, you can capture the readings and put them on the computer at a later time. That's good for researching, or if you really don't feel like bringing it up with you on the tower, you can capture it, bring it down, and then put it on a computer later. So I'll show you here at the end of the video about PC controlling this unit with the PC and PC software controlling the unit with your computer. So one thing I like about the front of this is it does have a backlit keypad, and it's a very simple keypad. It's got the raised buttons, positive action buttons, but not to confuse anybody. Okay, it's very simple. 1 through 9, 0, your settings key, your back key, your enter key, down, up, and power. That's it. You don't have a shift with this and hold this button down and push 5 for that mode. Very simple, okay? So that makes it easy for the newcomer or the person that doesn't want to let go of their MFJ-269 and go with this. Makes it simple, okay? But it is a vector analyzer, and what it does primarily is it uses a signal generated to the antenna to capture the return loss and the return parameters, and the microprocessor inside computes that into your SWR, your reactance, your impedance, and whatnot. So let's go through here, and we'll show you how this works here. And for demonstration, I have my trusty 80-meter off-center fed homemade dipole here that I'm going to plug in straight to the antenna, no tuner. And the good thing about this antenna, or this antenna analyzer, is it can be calibrated to compensate for the loss in coax. So you're not accounting for your loss with the coax here. I didn't do that in this scenario here, so but from what I'm seeing, it's about right because it comes factory calibrated, so you shouldn't have to calibrate anything. But for the expert and most seasoned antenna builder or maintenance person or experimenter, you'll know what all those features are, and you can go ahead and calibrate it yourself. But I didn't touch it. So to start, if you go down to that calibrate menu and you don't know what you're doing, stay out of there. That's all I'm going to tell you. That'll make it a lot easier. Okay, so we'll go up to single frequency and hit enter. Now, I've been playing with this, so you'll see some frequencies on here that I may have been in already or some settings. But you'll see right now at 10.4 megahertz, we're roughly 5.96 SWR. Great. Now, using the up and down arrows, I can go in 1 megahertz steps to wherever I need to go. All right. If I want to go to 3.4 megahertz, up and down, you can set the step size in the settings so that you can do it by 10 kilohertz, 1 kilohertz, 1 hertz rather. You can go the smallest increments to find the exact 1-to-1 point of SWR. Okay. So this is for the simplified method, okay? If you push settings here, the settings key, it'll bring up the SWR, your Z, R, and X, which is, your Z is your impedance, okay, in ohms. Your R is your resistance, and your X is your reactance. So it'll show you all that in real time. By hitting settings again, it'll show you your series impedance and parallel impedance. Now, I necessarily don't use or maybe not understand the greatest portion of this, but again, for the seasoned operator, you would know exactly what this is. It'll show you series, okay? If you push settings again, it'll be parallel, all right? And that's for making matching stubs or traps or what have you, balance and stuff like that. All this is useful for that. Pushing the settings again will give you your rectangular and your polar charts, okay? Not charts, but rather measurements, parameters. Rectangular and polar. This thing also has a Smith chart on it. But so pushing settings while you're at your SWR here, for the basic person, you can just see what your SWR is. But for the seasoned person, you can go into further details here. Okay? Now, we're going to go back, and we're going to go to sweep frequency plot. Now, this is going to go from one frequency to the other. Okay? So I set a start point and end point like I already did for demonstration. But before you get into that, you have other things here. You have your impedance, your resistance, your reactance, your return loss, phase angle, whether it be rectangular or polar, and your Smith chart. Okay, we're going to go up to SWR and press enter, and it's going to sweep real quick, and it'll show you a graph. This graph that I set should be 3.2 to 30 megahertz. Okay, and it'll show you on the chart there your highest SWR and your lowest SWR. So the line on the bottom represents a perfect match, 1-to-1. Okay, and as we go across horizontally here, will be from start to finish. Using the arrows up and down, I can move this bar in the middle, which is the frequency that I'm looking at up on the top. Okay, so if I want to go all the way up here and see that I am 1.25 to 1 at almost 12 meters. All right, but when I go up here to 10 meters here, well, guess what? I'm a 4.87. Okay, that's cool being able to go back and forth like that. Now, if you push, again, if you want the extra things on the menu here, you push settings, your start. Now, that would be what I set here at 3.2, and then your stop frequency. So if you want to sweep from 70 megahertz to 190, you can set that, no problem. Max of 1 to 230 megahertz. So we'll go back into settings here. Start, stop, Y scale. So changing the Y scale is basically changing the, basically on this SWR here, if I set it to 30 where it was at, go back here. 30. So up here would represent a higher SWR. Basically, this halfway up this line may be 15 to 1, and the top may be 30 to 1. But if I set my Y scale to 10, the highest number on the very top would be a 10 to 1. The highest portion of this. Okay, so for me, I like to keep it on the 30. It doesn't really bother me to keep it on 30. I see what it's going, what it's doing, and I can use the arrows here to go back and forth. Whoops, let's change that. Okay, so calibrate. If you wanted to calibrate for open, short, and load, it's in the book. I'm not going to get into calibrating, but the menu does exist. So load calibration data. So if you previously made a calibration data with a friend's dummy load or a friend's tools, and you saved it, you can save that calibration data in here so that if you have to do any kind of changes to this, you can revert back to that calibration data instead of going to his house and recalibrating it, okay? But for me right now, it's not pertinent. And save file. So if I want to save this to a file, I have 32 memories. I can save this right here and all these parameters to a file, okay? So that would be the sweep from the sweep plot. Okay, we're going to hit back and go to impedance here, and now you have your impedance instead of SWR on a chart like this. And you can use up and down again to see where you are at 50 ohms and where you are at 113 ohms, you know, whatever frequency. So I see right now that at let's go to 30 meters. At 30 meters there, I'm 180 ohms. So, you know, between the I can explain it all day long about the balun and everything else. We're not going to get into that. But you see that you can have a chart here for SWR or your impedance at given frequencies. So we'll go back, and now we'll go to resistance. And it's going to do the same thing, but now you'll have your resistance across the entire map here. And if you wanted to just do 20 meter band, you can set your stop at 14.0 and your end at 14.350, and you would have all, instead of checking out 20 and 10 and 18 and 20, you know, all anything from 160 to 30. If you're only interested in one band, you can set this just to sweep one band here. All right, not to confuse anybody. So we'll go back and we'll show, you know, I'm not going to go into the rest of it. You can see, well, I'll show you the Smith chart. That's always pretty cool. So the Smith chart now, there it is. Now that can be confusing as a Smith chart from the band that I specified. Smith chart would be better off for, you know, certain bands here. But as you hit the arrow, you can go around in the Smith chart here and see at a given frequency what your return loss is, your phase angle, and all that stuff, okay? So all that exists on this tuner, which is not, none of this is on a MFJ-269 like this, okay? So the PC mode, well, first we'll go into settings real quick. This is where you set your backlight, your auto power off. So if you're in the field and you don't want to kill your batteries, you leave it on, you can set your auto power off. The backlight, of course, after 15 seconds or automatic, you know, you can set it for automatic go on or off. Your battery, again, this is where you'd set your nickel metal hydride or your alkaline so that you're getting the most accurate reading. I have alkalines in here now, that's why it's set on alkaline. Here's where I told you about the step size unit. So, you know, I have it set to 1 megahertz right there. If you wanted to go all the way down to 1 hertz, you'll be holding that arrow for a while, but you can get just the most precise tuning step there at 1 hertz, okay? LCD contrast, better to see it in different light conditions, whether you're outside or inside or in the dark, okay? And calibration data protect. If you read the manual, that's so that you can't accidentally wipe out your calibration. It'll protect it, but we're not going to go into that. And info. Now, one thing about this, here's your model number and your firmware version. This is firmware upgradable with the supplied cable, and the firmware updates will be released from MFJ Enterprises, and I'm sure they'll be online to be downloaded, you know, and used with the software to update it with that cable. So right now, that's the firmware I have. maybe a year from now they'll have a better firmware version, and you don't have to send it back or have anything taken apart to upgrade. You just write the firmware to it and you're done, just like the Rig Expert. Alright, so I'm going to hook it up to the PC real quick, and I'll show you the software and how that works, how it looks when you control it with your PC. And let's get to it. So first, go to MFJenterprises.com. I went here and went to the search bar and typed in MFJ-226, and I got to this page here, and it has the manual for downloading the PDF format, the drivers, the Windows drivers, and the software for the PC host mode. So I'm using Windows 7 64-bit, and with these drivers there is a 32-bit and a 64-bit included. Once I installed that, I got an icon in my start menu like this: T-Series Vector Impedance Analyzer. So first, on your analyzer, go ahead and go to PC mode, press enter. It'll say waiting for host command. Start this program here, and you should see, this is of course once you have the drivers installed. Forgive my computer here. Okay. Device connected to COM5 right here. Now you don't see anything yet, so this is a lot simpler to input the start and stop and everything here. So what I'll do is, well, first we hit start, and you'll see this is the generic parameters that are built into the program here. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll go up here to start, and I'll type in, say for the 20 meter band, 14.000, and I'll do stop at 14.350, with the center frequency being somewhere around 14.175. Alright, and I'll leave the rest. I'll just hit the running button here. When you hit it, it goes to stop, and then you hit start again. Now it's going to scan this parameter over here, and there it is. Now, as I move my mouse here, you'll see on the graph the line where my SWR is. If you look up here, it'll show me the frequency and the SWR. So, for instance, at 14.024, we are at 1.58 megahertz. Okay, and you can see that it's going up the farther up I go in the band. Now, if you wanted to see the impedance of this value, just click on impedance, and here you are here. Now I can see at 14.129. Let's see, we'll go up here to 50 ohms, rate at 14.102. Alright. Resistance, reactance, same thing. Alright, return loss, phase, all this can be checked here in real time with the frequencies that you set over here. And that's the same as what you can do on the analyzer, but what's cool is you can click save to file here, just like you can save it on the front of the analyzer, and then you can bring it up at a later time by going to load from file, or you can load from T200, which is the actual device. So if you wanted to load memory slot 10, which you saved at your buddy's house, you would load number 10 here, and it would put up on the parameters whatever you have here. Okay, you can set the scale over here so that if you don't need a great big scale here for SWR or whatnot, you could change all that. So this right here, let's go down. This right here would represent, this line would represent 10 SWR, going up be 100. So if the line went way up like this, you got a problem, but that'd be 80, 90, almost 100, up to 100 SWR here. So that's your Y scale right here that you would set on the analyzer itself. Now you can set it here. All right. For the users that want a Smith chart, up here on the top, there's your Smith chart. And if you, for instance, say we'll set this, well, first we'll stop it. We'll set it 3.6 to 30 megahertz. The center being 15 megahertz, roughly. Well, on the center of that, let's call the center 18.165. All right, and we'll hit start, and then you're going to see it draw it on the Smith chart here. All right. I don't use Smith chart that much, but it is here for the seasoned operator that wants to use that. S11 return loss right here. So all this can be seen on this program as well as on the analyzer, and great for bringing up
memories that you've had before for SWR charts and stuff like that. And this is real time, so you can see this little dot up here, refresh. It refreshes about every 3 seconds. That blinks and captures a new plot here. So the SWR is constantly updating. So there you have it. The drivers are included in that download on mfjenterprises.com. This is me getting it working on Windows 7 Ultimate 64-bit, and no other issues running it. So that's it. I hope this program video for this program gave you some insight, and for the curious minds out there, I hope you enjoy it. Stay tuned, and please rate and comment, subscribe, and 7-3 from KJ4YZI.